Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages. Once again, this is Jeffrey Daniel coming to you from Abuja, Nigeria. Today is November 17th, 2022, as they do in that Gregorian calendar. And I'm going to keep banging on that Gregorian calendar until we get it right. I know some of you guys in America, it's America, it's an American holiday. You guys are getting ready for Thanksgiving, right? So Thanksgiving is coming up soon. You guys are going to want to cut up that turkey. You guys want to get together with your families and have dinners and stuff, but never forget what the holiday is really about, okay? The real meaning of Thanksgiving, okay? The actual events that took place, not their narrative story, okay? Think about the native people who were already in the Americas when the Europeans came there and before they wiped them out and had a turkey dinner. That was so nice, turkey dinner. Okay, anyway, I'll leave that alone, you guys, okay? Um, you know what? So many heavy things have been going on lately, and I think today's topic is still going to be heavy because I'm always going to be a little bit heavy, but it's going to be a little light. I want to bring up some things that'll lighten up the mood a little bit. Okay, you guys? All right, so that's what I really want to do. I just want to remind you guys once again that every subscriber is a blessing and every viewer is a gift and vice versa. I appreciate all of you guys for coming in and tuning in with me. And I encourage you all to go ahead and leave comments in the comment section. If you don't want to subscribe, that's up to you. If you want to subscribe, I would love to have you along. But the choice is yours, okay? I'm giving you guys the freedom of choice, all right? And let me get in my disclaimers. Anything I say and stand for is not meant to be discriminative against any individual, any group of people, or any race of people. I am not a racist. I don't play that. And I don't like to bang on individual people unless you deserve it. But I don't like to do that, okay? But I like to bang on topics and issues. And that's what I'm here to do, okay? I'm here to bang on topics and issues. I like to be the voice of reason in this climate of cancel culture and fake news. You see? And that's what I'm here to do, all right? And they say that intelligent people are being silenced so that stupid people won't be offended. So it's not to offend stupid people. They want to silence intelligent people as not to offend stupid people. So they want you guys to be just submerged in stupidity, and they don't want you guys to have the knowledge and the information. But this is the information age, and ignorance is a choice. So the choice is yours. That's why I appreciate you all coming in here. And you guys, look at any given post that I put up here, okay? My commentaries. Look how many views I get. I'm not getting all these views that people get from showing their booties and holding up money and, going after people, controversy, either fake news or stuff that doesn't even matter to your life. I'm here to try to address things that actually matter, okay? All right, here we go, you guys. Today's commentary is entitled False Perception of Reality. And this is deep. Some of the things that you guys just take for granted every day, little things that you'll be so surprised it's just not real. And we accept it for real. Why? This whole thing about going into the metaverse, that they're getting ready so you can put on the goggles and create your own avatar and interact with other people's avatars to do your banking, your businessing, your social media communications, whatever you want to do. They've got only enough people to fill up a boardroom, but yet they're determining the future and the lives of 8 billion people. That's deep. That's deep. If he can create the metaverse, you can create something too. If he can create Twitter, you can create something too. We just don't have to be at the mercy of what these few people are creating and getting us all to get inside of, and we're all catering to their business. Anybody can do it, you guys. Get out there and be the best that you can be and go out there and create great things for yourselves. You don't have to just be watching everybody else's great thing. Wow, that's great. Wow, that's amazing. Go out there and be great. Go out there and be an amazing. I told you guys, we all have a genetic code and each one is individually different. You have a reason for being in this universe. Find out what your reason is, okay? It doesn't mean it means to be on a stage or to become a multi-billionaire or something like that, but it could be something that's extremely important for our existence here, for your family or for humanity or for nature or it could be anything, okay? Each one of us, we have a reason for being here, okay? All right, we have a reason for being here. Know that. Know that, all right? Okay, so let me get on with this. I'm going to do a little diversion with this information excursion and not weigh in on the most obvious topics, okay? I might get to a couple of them. I think we can all use a little break for so many contentious and conflicting reactions and overkill on the same subjects over and over again, you know. I like CNN, but once you've seen a program, pretty much you've seen them all because they keep repeating the same things over and over again on each program. Then there's a couple of people that come along with some journalistic things that may, deviate from just it's like a radio station. Like you hear the same 8 songs over and over and over and over again all day long. How many songs are out there? But they, program director, they're programming us. So the program director chooses what they're going to play and chooses what these people are going to say and play on these news stations. So that's why they keep repeating the same stories over and over and over. So once you watch it for a while, you have to get off. But I do like the reports, but I just can't watch the same stories. Oops, that was a power outage. You guys, this is live. It's happening live. Okay, the power just went out. They'll kick in the generator. Let's see how long it's going to take. Because I don't want to stop this thing and start all over again. Shall I continue until because the power will come back on? Okay, so let me continue. Okay, all right, here we go, you guys. All right. First of all, I want to talk about Dave Chappelle. Okay, this is cool, you guys. You get to experience what it's like here in Nigeria with me. This is firsthand. Okay, this is one of our power outages, but the generator will kick in a couple of seconds. So hold on, it'll be back. Okay, in fact, I can use my. Can you see me? That's like a Frankenstein light. Can you see me? Okay, here we go. Okay, so I want to talk about Dave Chappelle, you guys, because this is really good. This is really good. First of all, we have to remember that Dave Chappelle is a comedian, and it's a comedian's job to tell jokes. And the funniest jokes are based on real life situations. That's what makes them so funny. Okay, imagining these real life things in these humorous situations. So, well. Dave Chappelle just caught fire for his opening monologue telling Jewish jokes when he hosted SNL, Saturday Night Live, okay? Or shall I say they tried to set him on fire, but I was very relieved and pleasantly surprised to hear a Jewish rabbi, that's right, a Jewish rabbi, a real life authentic Jewish rabbi say, he and his wife watched Dave Chappelle together, and they had the best laugh about it. They really had a good time listening to what he had to say. And he understood the need to relax and allow the healing power of laughter to heal our world, you see? So bless you, Rabbi. Bless you, Rabbi. We need more people like him in the world, you see? But some idiots tried to pull out the anti-Semitic card on Dave, and it didn't work. It didn't work, okay? So, Dave Chappelle is the consummate king of satire. He really is. There you go. Here goes the lights, okay? Let me turn off my phone torch, okay? What he does, he takes real life situations and intellectually adds humor with an irony of double entendre to allow all of us, except the terminally oversensitive, to laugh at ourselves. And no one does it better than Dave Chappelle. I mean, that guy is so artful the way he takes real situations. If it's about transgender, if it's about the Jewish community, if it's about the Black community, if it's about Europeans, if it's about whatever, but he takes it and he shows you the irony of what's going on, and he puts it in a humorous way by using double entendres, okay? And so that's what really makes it so special, and it makes us laugh at ourselves. We need to laugh at ourselves sometimes. Stop taking things so serious, okay? All right, so thank you, Dave Chappelle, and thank you for the Jewish rabbi. I wanted to get his name, but sometimes you see something, and when you flip it, it disappears, and you can't find it again, so I couldn't get his name. But for the Jewish rabbi who enjoyed Dave Chappelle's opening monologue and his skit on Saturday Night Live, see, you guys, that's what life is all about, okay? We don't need to attack each other, okay? All right, let me talk about the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. Okay, so the FIFA World Cup 2022 is kicking off, or getting kicked off, in Qatar, making it the first World Cup hosted in a Middle Eastern country. But now they are running into some social, moral, law code problems, okay? All I can ask is this: what in the hell were they thinking by inviting the most openly immoral, perverted, and sinful societies on the planet to come and play games and party in one of the world's most morally disciplined and religiously strict societies on earth? Does water and oil mix? Okay, okay. But, okay, check this out. How do you measure the moral barometer of a country or society? How do you even measure that? You look at their prison population. Okay? So, in the Western societies, they have their citizens in prison for rape, gang violence, murder, robberies, drug dealers, drug addiction, drug manufacturing, sex trafficking, child molestation, tax evasion, public mass shootings, home terrorism, hate crimes, and police killings. This is just to name a few, okay? Now, let's visit the prisons in Qatar and its neighboring countries and ask why their citizens are doing such hard time locked up in prisons, and they will all say in unison, for participating in peaceful anti-government protests. That will earn you some serious hard time. So look at the difference in that, of why most of the people in the Western societies are in jail and why most of the people in the Middle East are in jail just for participating in peaceful anti-government protest. In fact, this isn't funny though. Iran is just sentencing some people to death for being in the protests and riots that they had there for the killing of that teenage girl. And people came out. Iran does not play that, but the people are coming out and they're making their voices heard. They have arrested a multitude of people, and now they're starting to sentence them to death for being in a protest or riot. I'm telling you guys, in the Western world, it's just the same thing in Hong Kong. They're arresting people. In fact, Hong Kong was shutting down newspaper offices. They're shutting down whole newspapers that didn't agree with them. You guys don't understand what we really are enjoying in America, and democracy right now is under threat in America. But in the Western world, you guys, we got all this freedom. You guys don't take it for granted, okay? Don't take it for granted, okay? People are over there dying to stand up and be heard for their rights, for their rights. They're dying. Okay, all right. So anyway, so now sport fans are flying in from all over the world to have an amazing time watching the World Cup games and partying, only to be met with very strict laws of how to and how not to behave in public. And it's already taken 90% of the fun out of being at the World Cup games in an exotic foreign country, surrounded by sand. Okay, anyway. Any sign of affection in public is prohibited in Qatar, even among married couples. You can hold hands, but no kissing or hugging in public. No being intoxicated in public, as it carries a prison sentence no longer than 3 years or 10,000 reals fine. However, you can drink in allocated places that serve alcohol. They do have some clubs and some nightclubs because they have a lot of expats, from other countries that they are working, and that's their nightlife. So they allow them to go out and enjoy themselves. But none of that one night stand stuff, none of that picking up stuff like that. Unmarried couples can stay together. Unmarried couples cannot stay together in Qatar. And no sex is allowed between unmarried partners, as it's considered a criminal offense. So I guess, are you guys talking about, slap it up, flip it, rub it down, and I'm going to hit that. Yeah, I'm going to get that, and I got this, that. You will wind up in jail over there in Qatar. They don't play that, okay? It's the Middle East, okay? Here we go. So now you all are thinking, damn, so why am I going to Qatar to see the FIFA World Cup if I cannot enjoy some socially immoral degradation? After all, isn't it why people go to the World Cup games? I'm just asking because I don't know. I don't go to games. I don't play. I'm not a sports fan, you guys. So it's not that I don't like it. It's just that I never really gotten into it, okay? But I think that's why a lot of people go to watch the games and then party. You can party in your hotel room. You can drink in your hotel room or at designated drinking places, but you cannot be drunk on the streets. If they find you intoxicated out in public, you will be arrested. If they see you fondling on a woman out in public, you will be arrested. If they see you showing signs of affection, even for married couples, you can't, like maybe a peck on the cheek and hold hands. That's as far as it goes. But not getting too affectionate in public. They don't play that over there, okay? And you wonder, why would they send the games over to Qatar then? When the majority of the world is morally corrupt and enjoy being that way. It just, you know what? It just makes us look at ourselves for who and what we are. When I was a kid and when I was young, they used to talk about living together in sin. It was prohibited for married couples to live together when I was young in America. But where's it gotten to now? Wow. You see how immoral we've gotten, how we've just lost all of our sense of decency and getting worse. It's getting more perverse as we go along. Here in Africa, with very strong moral values and very strong family values. And I really love it and I appreciate it. I'm not saying everybody is squeaky clean and everything is, there's a little here and a little there, but in the general consensus and in general, keep things decent as possible. They don't go for all that vulgarity and all that indecency. They try to copy the West to a certain extent, certain pockets and that, but the general consensus is keeping it decent, and especially in Islam, very decent, very decent. The template that they set keeps you on the right course. It keeps you away from falling into all those traps, okay? So anyway, let's get on with this, you guys, okay? Get on with this, get on with this, get on with this, okay? I do want to touch on something, but I don't want to dwell on it. But I want to talk about that Hebrews to Negro thing, okay? I spoke in depthly about it on my last commentary. All I want to say about it is this. Just as I cautioned against in my last video, due to the ADL and Jewish community's highly publicized attacks against basketball player Kyrie Irving and issuing him demands in order to get his career back, the book and movie Hebrews to Negro is selling like hotcakes. The ADL did 1,000 times more promotion for the movie and book than Kyrie ever could have dreamed of doing. So are the ADL going to punish themselves for overexposing the movie and the book? Because they sure as hell, they're definitely punishing Kyrie for doing far less than they did. They brought so much attention to something that they didn't want him to publicize. And the attention that they brought to it has now gotten everybody so curious about it and interested that people are ordering the book and that video like it's going out of style. Thanks to the ADL, not Kyrie Irving. You see, you got to be careful what you draw attention to because things can backfire. That's exactly what I meant by overreacting and not de-escalating situations. If the ADL had handled it a little more calmly and privately, this piece of propaganda would not be enjoying such a high volume of order and sales today. I wasn't even aware of its existence, until I saw all the ruckus and publicity all over the news. They just defeated their own purpose, okay? There needs to be a conference or some type of gathering of members from the Jewish and Black communities to see how we can prevent such conflicts in the future. As I said in my previous commentary, the Black community is not the enemy of the ADL and the Jewish people. We are not your enemy, okay? And I'm saying Black because, I'm representing my community. There's a lot of communities who aren't the enemies of the ADL and the Jewish people. I think we all need to, be a little more tolerant and empathetic with each other. And I think we can find that equilibrium, okay? And I think that's what we need to work on. Let's get that sit down, okay? ADL and Jewish community, let's get that sit down, you guys. We need to have that talk. We need to address our convoluted historical past, and we need to catch up and see where we're at today so we can move forward. We have always been working together, at some degree. Okay, anyway, let me go on, you guys, okay? Let me talk about Trump returning, because there's something else I got to come. I got some other juicy stuff for you guys, so hang in there with me, you guys, hang in there with me. After all the derelictions of duties carried out by the former President Donald Trump, along with all the lawsuits chasing him, Trump has just announced that he'll be running for another term, his second term as president of the United States of America. But the good news is members of the Republican Party have finally woken up and now see the light and are distancing themselves from Trump. Now, they now blame Trump for losing territories in the previous midterm elections and not being able to sweep up more political leverage for their party. Now they are taking over, they're going to take over the House, the Senate, or whatever, because they have enough seats for that. But they just wanted to really sweep the whole thing. So now they're going to have to jostle for power and jostle for things, because now that Biden and the Democrats are running the country, but the Republicans will have more seats. So Biden said he's willing to work it out. He's willing to, work in a bipartisanship and work together with them. Let's see if the Republicans are willing to do that, because from their previous records, when Obama was in office to Joe Biden being in office, they just don't want to participate and they don't want to give in. They want to, it's their way or the highway. And that's how they've been playing. And I'm not banging on the Republicans. I'm just reporting, how they've been behaving. That's what they've been doing, okay? Hold on, you guys. So, anyway, in typical Trump style, he's already resorted to name-calling any Republican candidate that dares to compete against him in the primaries. But the danger of Trump being the political candidate for the presidency is, if he wins the primary, the Republican primaries that's coming up, I think Mike Pence might be running against him, and maybe that Georgia governor might be running against him. But anyway, if Trump beats them like he did last time, by bad-mouthing them and putting them down, and the people vote for him and he becomes the candidate, here's the danger. If he loses again in 2024, he will once again claim that the election was stolen. And this may spark off the second civil war that those extremist groups that support him are waiting to commence. Let's just pray either his legal battles or a better Republican candidate takes him out of the game. We just have to stay tuned and see and vote. You have to stay tuned and see and vote, you guys, because if Trump makes it back into the White House, it's going to be like a repeat of when Adolf Hitler was put in jail earlier in his campaign, and they thought that he was out of the picture. But he came back with a vengeance, and look what he led to. Look what it led to. I fear that if Trump comes back again, he's already so narcissistic. He only cares about himself. You see how he badmouths people that he actually picks, and then he turns on them when they don't do his bidding. So if he comes back into the presidency again, it's going to be just the way Hitler came back. He will come back with a vengeance, and it's not going to be pretty. It's already ugly, but it'll get worse, okay? Anyway, I want to talk about this false perception of reality. I want you guys to really dig into this, because you're going to learn a lot. I've learned a lot, and I'm still learning a lot. And I want to share this with you all, okay? Just something from me to you I just want to share. This is just how my brain works, how I perceive things, how I digest things, and how I deal with life, okay? I'm always outside of the box. So I'm always on the periphery of things and checking it out. That's just the way I process things, okay? So here we go. Now, I want to go into something that's a little deep and hopefully edify your cognitive facilities, okay? I hope to do that. I want to edify your cognitive facilities. Now, I don't mean to sound like Morpheus in the Matrix, but you have been living in a dream world. I don't have no red or blue pills to offer you, but I can point out so many misconceptions that we have about this world that we live in, that it will forever alter your views on reality. Let me start with how old we are. How old do you think you are? I'm sure most of you are going by your birth date, okay? This is deep, you guys. This is deep, okay? Now, I'm going to let you know how old we really are, and this revelation will help you understand the concept of eternity and how we never die. That's just what's so deep about it. When you look at our, uh, how we say, our ephemeral lifespan in this current plane of existence that we're experiencing, these what, 60, 70, 80, 90, or 100 years, it seems like a long time to us. Just knowing that our physical bodies have an inevitable termination date gives us either anxiety about one day being deceased, or it gives us more vigor to try and live out this short life to the fullest. Here's something that you were never taught in schools, and I only came across this just recently. We are actually already billions of years old. Now, you're thinking I finally lost my last mind, right? Okay, hold on, hold on. Let's look at the facts. Then you tell me if I'm crazy or not. We are billions, each one of us right now are already billions of years old. And let me prove it. Ever since the creation of this immeasurable universe that we reside in came into existence, nothing new has entered it, and presumably nothing has left it. So at that moment when energy exploded into action, however it was ignited or wherever it originated from, no one can emphatically say so because we really don't know. But those very first neutrons, electrons, protons, atoms, molecules, they begin to clash and create hydrogen and nitrogen and helium and a nuclear soup of elements until gases and eventually carbon particles started to form. Hence the carbon-based physical universe. Okay? Now, to make a long story short, we are made of those same exact original elements. Some elements form stars, some form planets and asteroids, some meteorites, then galaxies, some super suns exploding into supernovas and black holes. But the atoms and molecules, protons and neutrons and electrons that make up our physical bodies are the same elements that have been around since the beginning of the universe, transforming and recycling over and over for billions of years. Now, can you guys understand that? They're the same elements. They just keep reshaping and shaping and turning into this. These atoms clash into that, and they create these neutrons into nitrogen, into helium, into oxygen, into H2O, into carbon, into physical bodies, into plant life, and it goes on and on and on and on and on. They say energy can't be created and it can't be destroyed. It just continues and continues in perpetuity. So that means that this physical body that we're in will someday, we will leave it. But when we leave this body will go on to the earth and become part of the soil and something else, and it'll rain up and do something, and it just keeps going on. If this planet explodes, then those particles are scattered across the universe and form something else, a land into something else. It just keeps going on and going on and going on and going on. Okay, so dig this out, you guys. Dig this out. It's getting deep. That's why the DNA strands in our bodies that have been passed down from every ancestor that existed before us is so long that if we unravel the DNA strand from just one person's body, it can stretch to the moon and back. And that's almost 240,000 miles one way. Okay? So imagine all that DNA material inside of just one person's physical body. This is deep, you guys. This is deep. Just a couple days ago, we just celebrated 8 billion people now living on our planet. And that sounds like a lot of people, right? 8 billion people sounds like a lot of people, right? But I told you all before, humans, we only make up 0.01% of life on this earth. That's less than one. We're saying 0.01%. That's less than 1%. 8 billion people. We're less than 1% of life on earth. Animals make up 5%. Plants make up 82%, and bacteria makes up 13%. Also, before you start thinking how dominant humans are on this planet, we actually only occupy about 10% of the Earth's terrestrial surface. That means that 90% of the Earth's surface is still unoccupied. So the next time you hear them bitching about population control, Bill Gates, you know what's really up. This planet is far from being overpopulated. We're only populating 10% of the Earth's surface, and about what 3% of that is urban area. So you guys got to look at this and check it out. Everything is we're still minuscule in the scheme of things, but yet we are controlling everything. So now, how do we know that we exist forever? How do we know that we exist forever? Okay, when our parents conceived us, were they not alive? Thus, rendering every cell in their bodies alive too. So, when our father's living sperm went into our mother's living egg, and I keep living, that's the key word, their DNA and atoms, protons and neutrons, electrons and molecules came together and created us, which means they and their ancestors, going back to the very first ancestor to ever breathe, is still alive inside of us as we join and continue to be alive inside of our children in perpetuity. Their children, and their children. Our ancestors, atoms and cells and things are inside of us. As our mother and father carried theirs, came together and created us. Now we are the living embodiment of that combination of those ancestors. So when we leave this physical form, for those of us who have children, it's carried on inside of our children. Because I'm alive when I conceived my children. So that means that my sperm and everything in it was alive. And the mother's egg and everything was alive. And it's continuing to live in the form of another human being. And women are born with the mitochondrial DNA, which means that they already have every egg that they're going to have. That's why every month, if you don't do something with that egg, you lose it and it bleeds out. The eggs are already there, you see? So the women are already born with every child that they're going to have. It just needs the man to come and activate it and get it going, and boom, you got a child there. That's why every month the women have their cycle, because they're not reproducing. So it's okay, you're not using this one? Okay, all right, okay, here comes another one. That's what the whole thing is about, okay? So, but that only explains the physical component that make up our bodies. What distinguishes us is our spirit and our consciousness. And that's what makes up our individual characteristics, so unique to each person, along with our parents' ethos, okay? So now, go look into a mirror and think. Your body's atoms have been recycled over billions and billions of years. And that's deep to think about, you guys. Our physical makeup has been around always and will always be around. That gives you a concept of eternity, all right? Even the water that we drink has been recycled over billions of years. Dinosaurs and ancient people drank the very same water that we're drinking today. No new water has entered our atmosphere, and no water has left it. We drink, then we sweat or urinate it out of our bodies, we flush it down or onto the ground, and it evaporates and rains back down again, either in an ocean, river, lake, a pond, or just into the ground, and it hydrates plants or other forms of life. So, as they say, there's nothing new under the sun. The atoms and molecules in our bodies are billions of years old. And you people going into your 60s and 70s, not that you're getting old. You see? So, I'm going to get on something else, you guys. This is deep. Please excuse my crude drawing and everything. But let me bring up another misconception, okay? This will surprise you. What comes to your mind when you look at this? Okay? It's a little crude drawing. But what comes to your mind? What is this? What did I draw? What is that? A drawing of what? Okay? Now, here's the fun part, you guys. Since we were children in grade school, we learned the song, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, How I Wonder Where You Are, right? We learned the song, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And they put the name of celebrity stars on the Hollywood Boulevard Walk of Fame, right? We got 50 or 51 stars on the American flag. You see stars here, you see stars here, right? But look up in the night sky on any given night and tell me, how many stars have 5 points? Our sun is actually a star. For those of you who don't know the difference between this a star and a planet, and it has a spherical shape, roundish, not 5 points. So where does the 5 point star originally come from, and what does it really represent? And why is it so engraved into our lives and our existence and our, we look at it and immediately, that's a star, that's a star, that's a star. Stars are round. Stars are spherical in shape. Stars do not have 5 points. Okay? So here we go. That little innocent star that twinkles isn't so innocent after all. It's actually a pentagram that goes back to as early as 3500 BC to the Akkadians and as a symbol of Ishtar. Star Ishtar. Also, in Mesopotamian religion as a pagan goddess of war and sexual love. Now, for those of us who only speak English, you won't know that the English translation of Ishtar is Easter. Okay, there's Esteroth, there's a couple of other ones because of different languages. But the English translation of Ishtar is Easter. Okay, so you Christians might want to know that Easter Sunday is actually dedicated to a pagan goddess, Ishtar. That's why they also use the Easter bunny and Easter eggs, because the goddess of love and sexuality, the rabbit multiplies so abundantly. But of course, rabbits don't lay eggs, so I'm not sure where they got that part from. But you're all helping to worship Ishtar and don't even know it, because they threw the resurrection of Christ on top of a pagan holiday. If you guys have never heard this before, you don't know about it, don't attack me, attack the scholarship and the knowledge. That's what it is. Now, I got on all of you before about calling it Easter Sunday. You should call it the Resurrection Sunday, because you're supposed to be celebrating the resurrection of Christ. So then why would you call it Easter Sunday? Why do you have the Easter parade? Why do you have Easter rabbits and hunting for Easter eggs? And you got your kids going on the Easter egg hunt. I don't know if they do this around the world, but this is what they do in the Western society in America. You guys, it's all a sham. It's all a fallacy. Okay, and I'm just bringing you the truth. I told you, sometimes the truth is uncomfortable, but the truth has no obligation to be comfortable. It just has to be honest. And this is the honest to God truth. And you guys can fact check me and look all this up on your own, okay? So, but I'm not going to beat up on you religious folks who really don't understand your own religion. I'll save that for another time. And you could also find the 5-point star as a satanic symbol, and with the head of a goat inside of it. That's what the Satan star is, that 5-pointed star. Okay? Now, that's a pentagram. I think it's the heptagram that the Jewish people even have it on their flag. It is the Star of David. Okay? But that's their Star of David. And it says 6-pointed, so it's not the 5-pointed. I'm not saying that the Hebrew star is the satanic star. I'm not saying that. Okay, so don't get me wrong. Don't misconstrue that. I'm just saying that they have the Star of David on their flag, but it's a 6-pointed. It's not the 5-pointed. The 5-pointed star correlates with Satanism and Ishtar and all that stuff. That's where that comes from. Okay, all right, you guys. There's just a Star of David. Okay, that's what that is. Okay, so let's go on to another misconception, you guys. While it's getting juicy, see, this is getting fun. Very simple. Very simple. My throat is dry. Sorry about this, you guys. Got to get another sip. Another misconception that you have every day. What color is the sky? What color is the sky? Most of you will say that the sky is blue, right? Well, if oxygen is blue, then why don't we see blue all around us in the air? Like, why don't I see blue right now? You see? The same as when you look into the ocean or deep swimming pool, the water appears to be blue because there's a volume of it. But if you scoop up a glass of that same water, it looks clear in the glass, not blue at all. It's because the rays from the sun hitting the molecules in the atmosphere, and water acts as a prism and reflects the color blue, okay? That's what's going on. Excuse me. The same is with a person with blue or green eyes. Their eye pigment is not really blue at all, but the light reflects the color blue off the iris of their eyes. Okay? Did any of you already know this? Be honest. Come on, be honest. See this excursion of information that I'm taking you all on. There's really no such thing as blue eyes. Because if you take a person with blue eyes and you put them in a dark room and you barely have a light coming from there, and if you can look at their eye, you'll see it won't be looking so blue at that time. If you can look at it with far less light. You can be in the daytime and see a swimming pool full of water and you look at it and the water's blue. But at nighttime, when you turn on the light inside the swimming pool and go back to the same pool, it's just clear. You don't see any blue at all. So this is what's going on, okay? What color is the sun? What color is the sun? Okay? If you said yellow, I'm sorry, but you failed miserably. But I don't blame you, because the sun is always depicted as yellow in movies and in paintings. And we actually do see yellow when the sun sets. We see, and when the sun rises, we see a yellow sun, due to viewing it through miles of pollution when it sits lower in the sky. We're looking at it through so many miles of, pollution and particles in our atmosphere. But when the sun and the moon gets higher, all those particles aren't so thick anymore. And now we can see its true color, okay? And they're white. But the moment the sun and the moon rises above the layers, yeah, they both are white. So if the sun really was yellow, our days would have a yellow tint to it all day long, just like the time of sunset. It's actually a burning ball of white heat. But even if you see a movie, like when I saw, there's just so many of them, but when I saw, what's the one, the Green Lantern, and they went close to the sun and it was pulling them in, it was yellow. They do that, I guess, because if they made it white, it would just blind out everything. If the sun was yellow, the moon would be yellow at night, all night long, because the color of the sun is reflecting off of the moon. That's why we see a white moon, because the white heat from the sun and reflection of the sun is bouncing off the moon. Now, this is deep. Things that we just took for granted, we never even thought about. There's just, nothing is real. So now you have to just question everything. You have to question reality, I don't know. Okay, anyway, here's a subject that, this one's fun for me, you guys, because I really stand on this. And I've been standing on it for a long time, this whole thing about the moon mission, okay? Because they just fired off the Artemis 1 moon rocket. So I got to go in on this, you guys. I hate to bang on this topic, but somebody's got to do it, okay? NASA finally launched the Artemis 1 moon rocket after multiple delays started back in August. In fact, they had to park it back in the garage and wait almost 3 months. And if you follow me, you know very well that I believe man has never been to the moon before. You guys lean in with me, and I think you'll agree. Lean in with me, you guys. Come on. I am not a conspiracy theorist at all. If you use science and common sense, you too will understand the charade NASA has pulled over everyone's eyes. And I think you guys will be going, well, why would they do that then? Why would they do that? I'll explain that later. First, if they had already successfully landed on the moon back in 1969 and a few times after that, in an aluminum can-looking capsule that splash landed back into the ocean on return to Earth, and our Android mobile phones have not just 10 times or 100 times more computing power than they had back with their computers back then, but we now have million times more computing power and better technology. Then why all the tiptoeing and pussyfooting trying to repeat what has already been done? Is it making sense? People, I am not a cynic or a pessimist. I'm just being a realist. Okay, in the past 50 years, since the Apollo and the Gemini, whatever, moon landings, we've had the Concorde superjet come, and now it's retired. The one that went from New York to France, and just within a couple of hours or so. I flew it once from Paris to New York. I flew in the Concorde just once. I had the opportunity, because it was hitting that Mach speed. I think it was Mach 4 or Mach 5. It hit Mach speed, and it went up very high and came down. So something that would have been like about a 11-hour trip or something like that, we did it in just a couple of hours, something like that. Okay, anyway, That has been here and gone since the supposed moon landing, moon trip, which means our technology has already gotten better. The space shuttle program was successful, and now it's retired too. And they've had the ISS, the International Space Station, in orbit already for decades. So why are they being so... Okay, listen, this doesn't strike any of you as strange. But wait, it gets better, it gets better. If they really went to the moon before, why are they only sending space crash test dummies 50 years after the fact? And that's a JD original phrase, space crash test dummies. Why, if they've already sent men to the moon, why are they now sending only space crash test dummies to the moon? Okay? In fact, they're strapped in the capsule wearing the newly developed astrorad radiation vest to measure and monitor the amounts of radiation that the space crash test dummies will be exposed to. This is to ensure that it will be safe for humans. So the astronauts that went to the moon back in the late 60s and early 70s, they didn't experience that firsthand. They didn't report how much radiation they were exposed to. Think about it. People think they didn't come back looking like the Thing, or they didn't come back being able to stretch their arm, or being able to flame on or disappear. They didn't have their molecules and their atoms and everything just discombobulated because they went through. Come on, you guys, think. Plus, they have to fly through the Van Allen radiation belt once they leave Earth's low orbit, and no one knows how much radiation they will be exposed to. That's why they got the astrorad vest on to measure it. And if those paper-thin aluminum can-looking modules made it safely through the Van Allen radiation belt over 50 years ago, why are they being so extra cautious with this more advanced and better protected spacecraft, which is the largest rocket ever to be launched? Keep that in mind, hang on to that. It's the largest rocket ever to be launched. You know why? Because I heard a scientist say this a couple of years ago. In order to reach the moon, they would need a rocket about the size of the Eiffel Tower. So how did they get there before in a much smaller and inferior rocket in the 60s and 70s? They're telling on themselves. If you just listen to them, they are telling on themselves. That's why this is the biggest rocket, because now they really do intend on going to the moon. Okay? You guys, I'll let you decide. People, we are much more science and tech savvy than we were back in the 1960s. Information is more available now too. So we now understand that the same side of the moon's surface is always facing the Earth, and that its hot side boils to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 120 Celsius. And the cold side of the moon drops to a freezing minus 208 degrees. That's minus 130 Celsius. Now, I'm sure some of you went out to get in your car on a hot summer day, and at about 95 degrees or 100 degrees Fahrenheit or 35 to 40 Celsius, you can barely sit in the seats or touch the steering wheel because it's so hot. You be getting in your car like, you guys know what I'm talking about. You be touching the steering wheel like, ooh, it happened to me just the other day. Okay? Now, imagining touching your car at 250 degrees Fahrenheit or 120 degrees Celsius. The car would probably melt. Also, that means if you're on the moon's hot side, the power batteries would not operate in such a hot environment because batteries can only endure up to 130 Fahrenheit, but the moon's surface is 250 Fahrenheit. Batteries will not work. Similarly, batteries cannot operate lower than minus 22 Fahrenheit, but the cold side of the moon reaches minus 208 Fahrenheit. So if batteries can't operate under minus 200, but the cold side of the moon goes minus 208, so how did they operate the lunar rover on the moon's surface? You know, they got in it like it was like a Jeep recreational vehicle, and they were just driving on the surface of the moon, like they were just having fun. The power batteries that powered those crafts would not have operated in either the extreme heat or the extreme cold. How did the lunar module, once they're supposed to have landed on the moon, they needed power to take off again off the moon's surface to link back up with the capsule to get them back home. Now, this is sound science, you guys, not fairy tales or science fiction space movies. This is the real deal Holyfield science. So when you line it up with real science, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Also, if they did walk on the moon in spacesuits, okay, they had the spacesuits with the helmet and, with the glass visor, okay, the difference between the temperature inside the suits, making it comfortable for the human body, and the moon's surface temperature, be it the hot side or the cold side, it would be so extreme that it would cause heavy condensation and fog from their breathing on the inside of the helmets, see-through glass. So they would not even be able to see anything. It would fog up and have all these water droplets on it, okay? It would all fog up, just like your car windshield and your car windows fog up. If it's a cold outside, if you live in a place where it snows and have winter and it freezes outside, and you get in your car and you start it up and you're sitting there, and that you have to turn on your defrosters because of the difference of the temperature, it causes the windows to fog up. It will be the same thing with the glass visors over their space helmets, you guys. See, when you break it down to real science, this is what you get. This is what you get, okay? So, and it will be impossible to wipe away the inside of the helmet's glass because it's just their face inside of it. Their neck is here and this thing is going here. Their hands are in these things. They wouldn't be able to, they could wipe off the outside, but they wouldn't be able to wipe off the inside. Maybe lick the glass like it, or something like, I don't know. Okay, you guys, think about it, you guys. See, when you use real science and common sense, okay? And these are just a few items that the qualified scientists explained about being on the surface of the moon. So the question is, how did they overcome all of those obstacles back in the 60s and 70s if they did miraculously do it back then? And if they did, then why all the precautions and tests now? We are far more technologically advanced today than we were back then. In fact, they just launched the Artemis 1 with space crash test dummies, not even real people, so that the Artemis 2 will carry humans, but it won't land on the moon. It would just go and orbit the moon and come back, so that the Artemis 3 will finally be the actual moon landing. Does this sound like a program's continuation or a maiden voyage mission? You be the judge. You be the judge. I'm gonna leave you guys with that. They don't want us to use common sense. Let's forget about common sense. Line it up with real science and see what you get, okay? Anyway, one last thing that occurred to me. One last thing, and then I'm gonna end it here. If we now have cameras and telescopes with high definition lenses that enables us to zoom in and see the moon's surface, why can't we see the rockets as they're traveling towards the moon? That rocket just took off the other day, and it's a 3-day trip between us and the moon. Why can't we see it at night? That thing there's nothing but open space. There's nothing between us and the moon but satellites orbiting the Earth and that rocket. Then why won't we be able to see that rocket as it's traveling towards the moon on that 3-day travel? Why won't we be able to see it returning? Because we have high definition. Why come no one? You know what they did? The moment the rocket took off and we saw the successful launch and we saw the booster separate from it, and then that's it. I looked at the sky last night, a very clear sky. I can see all the stars, very bright. And then the moon came up very late. And I'm looking between me and the moon. I'm looking thinking, there's a rocket on its way there. Where is it? This is deep, you guys. Any of you who have strong telescopes, they have these new cameras. Is it the new iPhone 6 something or something they can put on it that zooms in on the surface of the moon and it looks really clear and everything? If any of you have any of these things, go outside and try to see if you see anything between us and the moon. Okay? All right? Okay. I'm gonna let that go, you guys. I'm gonna let you guys go. I don't want to get too winded with this. I'm going too long. And I just want to say that, hey, you guys, I'm glad that the Jewish rabbi, and I hope the rest of the Jewish community, can find humor in Dave Chappelle's humor, because he's only trying to make us laugh at ourselves so that we can all relax. That's all he's trying to do. He's not being anti-Semitic, which I told you guys, there's no such thing as anti-Semitic. You could be anti-Jewish, anti-African, anti-European, anti-Asian. Semitic is a language, it's not a people. I want you guys to look that up too. Look up, just Google and look up, is Semitic a language? Is Semitic a people? And you will find this out for yourself. So they need to stop that false flag of anti-Semitism. There's no such thing. You can't be anti-Semitic. You could be anti a person, but not a language, okay? Unless you just don't want to speak a Semitic language. You know, hey, say this in this language. No, that's anti-Semitic because I don't want to say this in that language. Okay? And I pray in Semitic languages now, you know, because I pray in Islam. So I'm using a Semitic language. So that means I can never be anti-Semitic because I'm using a Semitic language now, okay, to communicate with Allah. So anyway, you guys, I wish you all the best. I wish you all peace, love, and happiness. I hope that we get over this whole Kyrie Irving. I hope Kanye West settles down and stops being so hubris and vociferous. And, you know, even if you can get away with something and to brag about it in this, I know he's got to protect himself because he took a very, very heavy hit. But I hope the guy finds a way to balance his, you know, his presentation. I hope he finds a way to balance his presentation. You know, a lot of the things he says are right, and a lot of the ways that he's going about it may be the problem. I think that may be the problem. Okay. So anyway, you guys, find your own truth and stand on your truth. And as long as it's the truth, you guys, you don't have to bow down to any man. Okay. All right. I love you all. Spread the love, make love great again, because you make love great again, we will all be great. I'm taking you guys back to the world. I love you all, each and every one of you. Leave some comments, you guys. I want to hear from you. I really want to hear from you all, okay? Please leave your comments, okay? Jeffrey Daniel again, Abuja, Nigeria. Peace, love, light, and happiness. I love you all. Bye-bye.